we're gonna talk about all the new stuff, Capcom Cup, the 8 changes, the trailers that we saw, some of the new things that we had to come, and then fighting games, Fighting EX Layer, for example, Dragon Ball Super, and we're gonna talk about Zeku, like how we did the first podcast. We touched on Zeku. Some of the content was very much so about Zeku, but after maybe a month or so, we're gonna offer some thoughts about the character currently. So we can get down to brass tacks. We got Capcom Cup, Mena RD off of a hot win, like unexpected by most people. And the way Tokido beat him in winners finals, it was not something. It felt like his odds of winning were increasingly or decreasing after that winners finals. But yeah, we saw a lot of good stuff. What do you think about Mena RD and his performance?
Yeah, I always knew that he was an extremely strong player, but just because Birdie's one of those characters that I never considered as he's strong, but I see him as like in the unstable category. Like he can run through a lot of characters, but then he has some tough matchups. So I was surprised that he was able to make it, stay in winners the whole way through like that. So good stuff to him. He took down a lot of big names. So I just want to put that out there first, that for a lot of people that might be upset that he played a little bit crazy and that he goes nuts, you got to remember that Capcom Cup is 3 out of 5 the whole way through. Yeah. And for him to beat Daigo, Tokido, Nemo, Itabashi Zangief, like these are all big names, extremely high caliber players, all in 3 out of 5 and beating Tokido twice. At that point, there's no more luck. Luck can only get you so far. So he definitely didn't get a lucky win. And so shout outs to him, on that big win yesterday. Well, Sunday.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say that he does not deserve it. I don't think that's true at all. I think he absolutely put the work in and he played the game right. And he beat Tokido. That is a true statement. And there's nothing that you can. And he is $250,000 richer. And I was thinking about like the cost of living in the Dominican Republic is I would think much lower than it is here. So that amount of money that he's getting, like maybe after tax, is going to go a lot further than it would over here.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially like in California.
Yeah, he's going to be in a very good position for himself with that kind of money living in DR.
I mean, in my fantasy bracket, my bias bracket, I had him going 0-2 just because he played. Did I have him go 0-2? This is like top 8, but I want the older guys to win. I had Itani at first, but he went 0-2. Yeah. So like, it's undeniable that he can get to that position and still pull it off after losing in winners finals. But I mean, you can't also. It's like, I think about Mena. He's a kid. He's very young.
Yeah.
So you're gonna not unlike Punk. You're gonna see him make a lot of mistakes and the maturity kind of thing. Right. Just in the same way, I think of the internet being young, for the most part, and they're gonna have that gut reaction that they're gonna see something and immediately complain about it, like Birdie's cheap and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mena doesn't deserve it, or have some kind of hatred for one reason or another. So I mean, it's expected for people to feel that way. To me,
yep.
And it's like, are they correct? Are they wrong? Like, I think it's a little bit of both on both sides. Birdie is cheap.
Yeah.
But he's not like, that's not why Mena won.
Right. And there certainly was no shortage of cheap characters being used in the entirety of Capcom Cup. So to only crucify him for using a cheap character when everybody was using cheap characters is kind of.
Yeah,
that level of play, that's a little bit irrelevant at that point.
I think Ice pointed out on Twitter, it's like, y'all really gonna complain about Birdie when he was playing against Akuma? There's always like so many flavor of the month characters to complain about. Like I joke about it on my stream all the time about who's in every top 5, and it like just basically rotates. And the only way to really determine which characters are top 5 within like, who are the best within the top 5 is the words that people use. Like, oh, Rashid. Definitely top 5. Laura, for sure, it's the pretext before they say what it is. That's how you know that character's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, Urien? Oh, come on. That's a top 5 character. But there's so many top 5. So many characters in the cast that qualify for that kind of position.
Yeah, there's like 15 characters in the top 5.
Might as well be. It's like maybe a few characters like that you would say, yeah, they're probably not the best. Like, what are we thinking? Alex, Ryu, Fong. But even those characters under the right conditions are pretty... Well, not Ryu. Well, excluding Ryu. I don't think Ryu has a lot of cheap conditions.
Yeah.
But I don't like playing against Nash. Chun-Li, I guess she's not as powerful as she used to be. But I'll say that Fong and Vega and Alex, I hate fighting them.
Yeah, Alex can definitely steal some games from you with the right sequences. So he definitely has a little bit of that explosive Street Fighter V type flavor if he gets his V-trigger stuff going. And, you know, he does have set play, albeit not the strongest set play, but he also does have ways to kill you really fast. So it's just he's not as well-rounded as some of the other characters, and he can't kind of like infinitely loop you into messed up situations. But
I feel you.
But
it's mostly that Alex he doesn't have enough solid things, but he doesn't have something like Bullhorn activate V trigger, right? He doesn't have elbow slash activate V trigger for the armor, that kind of thing.
Right.
Man, but speaking of, like, what do you think about Bullhorn and like we talked about this before the show? It's Samurai on Twitter pointed out it's kind of like a DP,
yeah.
But it's something you can V-trigger cancel. You can't crush counter him for it. Do you think that the complaints, that knee-jerk reaction, do you think those complaints do they have some validity to them? For Birdie's Bullhorn.
Yes and no, and here's the reason why I say that. So Bullhorn is a very strong move, and it's a move that it's kind of difficult to lab against because even if you do know the solutions, they're very range specific, and some of the punishes that are available to do like in a real match situation aren't that great. And since the move is not crush counterable, it doesn't seem like it deters the Birdie players enough from wanting to go for it. For example, like you can let's say you're doing like a mix up of a tick throw or attack, like you do like a light attack and then you either throw or you do some other attack to stop them from throwing and also try to beat the Bullhorn. You might not be in range. So let's say you do like standing jab into crouching medium punch as a Kuma. That'll beat Bullhorn at close range, but then you're not in range to follow up with anything. So the fact that the Birdie players only risking getting hit for a little bit of damage is not going to deter them from continuously attempting it. So I understand that level, that even if you do know answers, it's hard to like make them stop going for it. But the move itself, you have to understand that it's technically throwable, and also it's not strike invincible at any point. It's just the best property that it has is that it shifts his hurt box on, I'm not sure what frame, but it's very early on. It's got to be like around frame 3 or 4. But it shifts his hurt box really far back, so far that the throws whiff, and it makes a lot of even mid-range attacks whiff. So it creates this situation that it has like pseudo invincibility, like a fake form of invincibility, because he's just not there to be hit. And then if it does hit you, he can cancel it into a V-trigger on hit or block. So
allow me to briefly demonstrate. These are some things I saw in Capcom Cup from yesterday. Let me turn off the chroma key really quickly for my face. So something like I think I had this one before. Okay, I'm gonna have to reprogram this real quick. But there's two things that we saw that I researched about Capcom Cup with Birdie against the Kuma that I saw Tokido, and to me it was like a clear sign that he didn't have a direct answer. So after this forward hard punch, if he jabs, he would Bullhorn and get hit by it. That happened one time. You can't do that here. But you can actually block. That's interesting. That he still got hit by that. But the other thing that was crouching hard punch. I posted about this on Twitter. He did crouching hard punch, crouching medium kick. That's no good. No good. And it turns out you can do crouching hard punch, another crouching hard punch, nothing. Standing hard punch, nothing. These are moves that are like mid-range tool that you would expect to actually hit them. I think even standing roundhouse. Standing roundhouse, no good. So there's people that point out that you can delay your attack.
Right.
And it'll work out. Which is they're not wrong, but the fact is you have to do something that's slower and you have to wait for it. So what that means is that the birdie player can do something with armor. They can do something that's pretty slow themselves. They can, like even the easiest example is his 4-frame standing short. That's going to counter hit me, especially if I wait for it. But then, you know what? You might be able to option select. You might be able to option select block. Possibly. Where this would be something that you block and then go into something like this, right? But I mean, the fact is, you have to guess. You're at a position where you want to attack. You're at a pressuring point. You have frame advantage. But he's able to always make you second guess yourself with a bullhorn. And I never thought that it doesn't require meter either.
Yeah.
Obviously unsafe on block. But.
So what I was testing when I was doing it was I was doing like standing light kick, which is Akuma's only normal that keeps him in throw range. So you could do like standing light kick, throw, which that I believe that loses, or you can do like standing light kick into some other button like standing jab, and you'll notice that at that point blank range, your follow-up button, like your frame trap attempt, will work. But the problem is that you have to be so close that it kind of reduces the chance that they would even attempt a bullhorn at that range. And also the fact that the punish that you do get if you hit with the frame trap attempt doesn't lead to anything. I think that's problematic and what probably needs to be adjusted.
The pushback is a problem. There were some scenarios where Tokido identified that he got the counter hit, the crouching medium punch counter hit, and you can combo a sweep. You can combo standing, or excuse me, you can combo crouching hard kick off of a counter hit crouching medium punch. But he was so unsure of the range because of the counter hit pushback, all he got was a crouching medium punch. So that bullhorn, the right solution was for him to block, for him to punish the bullhorn completely. But you can't always block both on offense and defense.
Yeah,
it's just gonna be how it's just the guessing game that it induces. The game naturally causes that to happen. That's the whole. That's kind of like Street Fighter V in a nutshell.
Yeah,
you have to guess. You have to play against what you can't see. Often, very often.
Yeah.
And it's like if you don't have the tech, if you don't have the information ahead of time, then that edge is what's going to make up for. That's what's going to be the winning strategy. It's just that other person's lack of knowledge. If you don't have that knowledge to make the optimal guesses in the first place, then that person is going to outplay you by just doing more damage and creating more opportunities, and they're going to have to guess less themselves.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, what do you think is a better solution? Making a move like bullhorn, or just bullhorn itself, crush counterable, or adjusting how far he moves back? Like, if you have to choose one or the other, not both.
Slightly the amount that he moves back. I think that's a unique thing. I think it's something that he should have access to. But it's like it didn't get addressed until now because it's like becoming a life-changing problem for some people.
Right.
Or for some people, a life-changing solution. Positive. It's so hard to talk about balance changes in like a small, like not the whole scope of the game. But I would say the pushback is something I don't like. Like it's in a gut feeling, I don't like that about any character. The lower standing jab, a buki, that kind of thing. It's just kind of whack to me.
So you think that they should address the pushback then, right? But keep it not crush counterable, or do you think it should be both? I mean, what do you think is like the best? What do you think is a more efficient solution to make the move still useful as as an option, but
what you could do is change the variables around it, like the canceling into V trigger. Maybe you could make that even on block rather than have advantage. I actually don't know how much advantage it does have.
Right.
But change the other rewards, the potential rewards.
Okay.
And just slightly nerf something like the counter hit pushback. But maybe there's a way to still have the swaying property, but not have the counter hit pushback. Maybe there's a way to pull that off.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a programming, like laziness in their programming. It may be that may be intentional. Bullhorn into V trigger is -2 on block. Oh, well there you go. It's already negative.
Yeah, it's just that I think he's kind of far though. I don't know if it's a meaningful -2.
It's -5. I'm gonna test this out.
Yeah, I think if you look at the distance where it's connecting from, Bullhorn is one of those moves that has a lot of unique properties. Like I think the stream could probably correct me if I'm wrong, but it's one of those moves that if you cancel it on a later active frame, I think it has better advantage. It has like variable advantage depending on when you cancel it or on what active frame it connects. It's not a fixed, frame advantage.
It does push you back quite a ways. So that's 6 crouching medium punch from Akuma. Standing medium is 5. So that's safe against that. So maybe standing short, too far away.
Yeah. Try jab DP.
Okay.
Reversal jab DP.
So is that 3 frames?
Yeah, it's 3 frames. Try it again. I don't think that was reversal. Just try one more time. I'm just curious.
Yep. That was a reversal.
Okay, so
-2 at least.
Yeah.
Or at least.
That's interesting though.
There's like that space where you can be negative, but if you try to use your 3-frame light attacks, they're gonna whiff. So what he does next is gonna punish you. But he doesn't have advantage, so you have to use something like it's like there's something that I'm trying to like mentally describe. It's like meaningful offense, and what it really means is just being in throw range and being able to make them choose between like an overhead or a throw. Being at that range is not like meaningful offense, like I think it is.
Yeah, it's not a
meaningful
-2 at all.
But that's interesting that it is -2. Man, I saw somebody else. Maybe I can't remember who it was. But they were using the V-reversal against that to constantly punish it. Maybe it was Sakura. I feel like I saw somebody always using the V-reversal to punish it. But Tokido didn't use that at all. So, -2, man. It's already -2.
Yeah.
It's like there's not enough research done on this character. It's like up until now it wasn't needed.
Yeah, so the move is definitely very strong. I don't think that's the only reason he won. It's a good move. But I think it was just, if I had to say one quality, which is what I think is the reason he won, it was his fearlessness. He would just consistently push forward and kind of stuck to the plan. There were some times where he would have a bad round or he would make a wrong read, and he never looked like it was really being conditioned or trained to stray from the plan. He looked like he had his plan set in motion, and he was fully confident in executing that plan, and no one was really able to pull him out of his game, so
it's like there was a moment where he looked kind of bewildered. Tokido did a crouching roundhouse while Akuma was in the corner, and he was getting pressured, but he had no health. And it was like it looked like Tokido was mashing a crouching roundhouse between him pressuring him. Tokido actually had V-trigger, but it hit him, and that won him the match. And then they go to a camera angle. He's like, "Really?" He had that face like, "Are you serious? You're mashing a crouching roundhouse?"
Yeah.
But I mean, that wasn't, you're in the heat of the moment. You don't really see like maybe he has V-trigger and there's a reason behind it. But it still showed that he was in a he could have messed him up mentally. He could have been like, I can't believe he just did that, and that cost me the round, that kind of thing.
Right.
But his perseverance, his resiliency to that sort of thing, even if you perceive it incorrectly or not, his resiliency to the many different types of situations. He was down a lot. He was like in a losing position, like big time. There was I think the score was 2-1, and it was tournament point. And Tokido got a jump in. He had him in the corner. He got a crush counter, and it was like lights out. Like, how was he gonna win this? And then he hit him with a whiff punish. He did a bullhorn V-trigger super, and then that did so much damage. And then Tokido did wake up EXDP, and then he crush countered him, and then he did one more choice that brought him back. That brought him back to life. That was the moment, in my opinion, where Tokido lost.
Yeah.
And that EXDP.
Tokido definitely started showing kinks in the armor after that moment because, like you said, he had basically the game-winning sequence, and the plan failed, and then he wasn't able to fully recover from that. Like he actually, not that he wasn't in the game, but he wasn't able to regain the momentum that he had up to that point.
The confidence levels to do a wake up raging demon, that you didn't see that in the second set, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it was like he was a little bit not mentally guard broken, but he was like neutralized. I think neutralized is a good way to put it.
Yeah,
and you can't be in a neutral. You can't play this game and not feel yourself. I think that's one of the reasons why Punk was so dominant. He was always arrogant and confident, and he knew that every decision that he made was gonna work. And even when he was wrong, didn't matter. I'm still gonna be right. And I think that's how Mena mentally won Capcom Cup. He had that mentality.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's about enough. Is there anything about Capcom Cup specifically you want to talk about, or anything of the players?
Besides Mena, I think Didimokof had a very good performance. I think a lot of people regarded him before Capcom Cup happened, that a lot of people saw him as the weakest player, honestly, including myself. So it was very, I guess, like, very impressive that how well he did, and the players that he beat. Like, I know he beat Kazunoko, and he beat some other really tough matchups. And yeah, he had those crazy pop-offs that he's known for, but I think he proved a lot of people wrong, that even with a relatively weaker character, you can still do well in such a high-profile event. So shout-outs to him.
Yeah.
Hopefully he continues to play more and, you know, get put his face out there more. And he had a really great showing, in my opinion.
Yeah, the event that he won, the commentator, he had the you don't need a friend that you can play with your heart. It was so like heartfelt, but I disagreed so hard at the same time.
Yeah,
I was like, you're not wrong, but it's like heat of the moment kind of thing.
Yeah.
But man, it looked very emotional. I felt for him because he did do really well at the Wednesday night fights prior to Capcom Cup. He did okay, but not really like. You know, he didn't win, but in the Capcom Cup, when he lost, when he like put his head in his hands, I was like, man, he really wanted that life-changing money to, you know, to either support his scene, get things going. I know they talked about at the, I think it was the Latin America finals, that he was like trying to find a job. He was like he wasn't even able to play the game, that kind of thing. So it was like a miracle for him to get into Capcom Cup. So that's just them's be the breaks, you know.
Yeah.
Street Fighter, man. Let's not talk about that. The way you feel about this game and the way it treats you sometimes. Oh boy.
Yeah. But
anything else as far as Capcom Cup? I'll take a brief look at the brackets. We got the Moke and the Gachikun, Rashids, a lot of young people, man.
Yeah.
Bon Chan, I'm sure he's happy about the Sagat reveal. I'm surprised there's no reaction video for that. Nemo, he had such an amazing run, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and a little, you know, tidbit about Nemo is that, remember, he did come through the last chance qualifier. So, I think in the beginning, people were surprised that he didn't even qualify off the bat for Capcom Cup, but that was because he wasn't traveling the first half of the year. He wasn't going to events. It was only until he decided to quit his job and do this gaming thing full time that he really started coming out to more international events and getting some points. But in the end, it wasn't enough to qualify for Capcom Cup. So the fact that he still made it back in, kind of just he got third place, kind of just shows that like he should have been there from the start, and who knows what would have happened if he would have had a different seeding based on, you know, having, you know, qualified through points naturally.
I mean, he arguably got a great seeding. It's like as if Punk got the worst seeding in terms of not knowing who your opponent is.
Yeah.
But to be in that place and also beat Punk, who was the favorite or the #1 seed to win the Capcom Cup, to sabotage that from LCQ, it's so impactful for this whole tournament that he that he's in that position and won, and then he immediately lost to Daigo. And then, could you imagine if Punk beat Nemo or the LCQ winner, beat Daigo, and then played Mena RD, and then potentially beat Mena RD? It's crazy how things can work out just because of that LCQ spot.
Yeah, so many things could change. The tournament could have went very differently, and let's not forget that Knuckle Duel was not part of the equation, unfortunately, this time. So many things could have been different this year, but you know, the way they played out, you know, that's just the way it is sometimes, man. Mena RD had a great day.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, so. But
there's a question
about Capcom Cup. I think I want to kind of just start talking about AE. The little bit that we know about it so far and the direction that we're going with it.
So we got a lot of reports on Twitter of different players testing out different things, and we see some changes. We, of course, have that gut instinct reaction. You know, is my character nerfed? Is my character... They deserve buffs according to me, so give them buffs. So people are desperate for information. Now, the AE build, from what I understand, is not the final build from what we saw at the Capcom Cup. You have to kind of take it with a grain of salt, but it can still give you some idea of the direction that they're looking into for the AE, the AE in the future of 2018. And so far, I feel like it's looking positive. It seems like they are making the game less obnoxious, maybe, but I mean, it could just shift over to new characters. There could be obnoxious characters right now that we're just not playing properly or something.
Right.
And then the changes can just shift that in a way that nobody expects, including the developers.
So, from what I've heard so far, it seems that a lot of the stuff that currently works in terms of strategy technically did not get fully removed, but it just got toned down. So, for example, Urien's standing heavy punch, it's still a crush counter in neutral, but then they lowered the frame advantage that he gets after he dashes, so he can no longer launch you with a crouching heavy punch. And there's two reasons for that. I believe they lowered the advantage, and they slowed down his crouching medium heavy punch by 1 frame. So
okay.
So the combination of those two changes made it so that after he hits with a non-charged standing heavy punch, he can only do dash up crouching medium punch now. So he still gets a combo from hitting you with a really high priority poke that's fast, and as far as we know, hard to whiff punish, because we don't have any confirmed details that they added recovery frames yet.
Mm-hmm.
What they did do was they lowered the reward that he gets, so he no longer gets a launcher combo that has extreme corner carry. I believe you play Urien, so from crouching medium punch, the only thing he can get is like standing light kick or a light attack into like headbutt maybe, or a tackle. He's no longer gonna get like a really meaningful corner carry knockdown from that.
There's a couple things that come to mind. With crouching medium punch, you can get crouching jab into headbutt, or you can do standing short into EX tackle, or like light kick tackle. But if you're gonna do that, you might as well do the EX. So you have two options there. That's not a bad nerf. I really want to compare those two combos: crouching hard punch into the up fireball, and crouching medium punch into the headbutt. I really don't think it's that bad of a nerf in terms of damage.
Right.
It's more about the knockdown and the opportunity that you get,
and the corner carry.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some things with Yuri that most people don't do with like the V skill. You can get a free V skill after you do the crouching hard punch, but most people don't. Most people don't like invest. They want the immediate reward, right?
Right.
So you're not going to be able to do that unless that crouching, that standing hard punch, you charge it in crouch counters. So let's see what we got here. We can do some live testing. If I do crouch counter standing hard punch, I do crouching hard punch, and then roundhouse tackle, we're looking at 315. I'm gonna write that down. 315 damage.
Yeah, my guess is that with the crouching medium punch combo, it's gonna do probably like 270-ish.
That's exactly right. It's 270. So that's a difference of 45 damage. So they nerfed that combo meterless by about 35 damage.
And the stun too, though.
And the stun and the knockdown. So if I do something like this, I can actually get a V-skill here. Most people don't know about that. And you get the different setup with the medium kick, you control the fireball. You can see which knockdown they do. You can get the V skill here. I remember that as well. You're not going to be able to do that with the hard punch headbutt. But the hard punch headbutt is still a good knockdown. So it's not really that bad. I thought it was going to be something like you have to do a tackle from here. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
But to be able to do crouching medium punch, that's still okay. That's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And then you can still get it off of this.
Can you test the stun difference? I'm curious to see how much difference in stun it is.
Sure.
My guess is about maybe 120 points-ish.
Okay, we're looking at 501 currently. A little bit under the weather. 431. So that's a difference of about 70.
Oh wow, even less. So it's not. Yeah, it's like you said, it's not
70.
too bad.
It's not bad at all. But I like that that is a point of contention for them to directly go to the crush counters, but not be overly intrusive about it. Excuse me. But still adjusting the reward you get from that. Because as of right now, I feel like in terms of skill, in terms of the amount of skill, man, doing a crush counter move has less reward, or excuse me, has less risk than being potentially whiff punished for that crush counter move. So playing blindly is better than playing reactionary. I don't like that.
And I have another question for you. What's the damage on doing close standing medium punch counter hit into crouching fierce punch fireball tackle? Because that looks like that might be the quick counter hit combo. Like I say, if you don't have time to do a charged heavy punch, you might have to resort to standing medium punch into crouching hard punch as your...
To combo into it? To combo into crouching hard punch, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. So... I just want to see what's the damage on it, to see which is like...
Oh, it was 279. Alright, I'll do it again.
Yeah. I can't see the game screen, so it's like...
279. But you may be curious, because if they have if they slowed down the crouching hard punch, if that is true, I want to see if that actually works now.
Yeah, they slowed it down by 1 frame, so it should still work.
I
Because
don't know.
Crouching hard punch is going to be 8 frames.
Standing medium punch. Oh, this is inaccurate data. But if crouching hard punch is 9 frames now, and this is 8, if this actually is plus 8 on counter hit, and crouching hard punch is 9 frames, that means it doesn't work anymore.
No, it's going to be 8 frames. Because currently crouching hard punch is, I believe, 7 frames, right?
Sure. I don't know. I guess this data is way off, if that's true. The tool assisted. That could be true.
Like the people that were posted about it, they told me that counter hit hard punch still works into crouching heavy punch, but that crouching heavy punch was slowed down. I mean, it could be incorrect. I don't know, but that's what I
could be. They could have also increased the amount you get off, the amount of advantage you get for counter hit as well. That's also possible.
That's true. Yeah.
But that's one of the things that's hard to speculate about this kind of thing, because there's so many things that we get ideas for and we want to test for ourselves, and we really can't yet. We just get to speculate. This is why often when there is a new change for a fighting game, I don't bother. Even when Street Fighter V, before it was released, you had people who had access to the characters early in like the beta. I didn't care. I didn't care. I'm like, okay, when the game comes out, I'll figure it out faster than them.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's not a big deal to me. But it's important to see what they are tinkering with the information that we have, and that's what we're looking at with the AE changes.
Yeah, and that's what to your point, that's what I'm kind of focused on, just the direction that they're going. It's not even so much about the specific damage numbers. It's just kind of the direction of like how much reward you get for, potentially getting making a low risk decision, like doing a standing heavy punch, and if it crush counters, you get damage from it. So they seem to be adjusting that interaction, because they did a similar change to Balrog's standing heavy kick. He's no longer able to walk up crouching heavy punch from it. So it looks like something they're trying to address, and I think it's for the better if they're doing it across the board.
So it's like not just the crush counter thing, but activation, not requirements, but conditions. Like what results after something like a ball rock, crouching medium kick, into V trigger. And I think they're starting to see just how powerful the V trigger mechanics are, but not only how powerful they are within themselves, but how you get to that position. So something like that crouching medium kick from Balrog, it's like such an obvious thing. But when that obvious thing also has advantage on block, and if it actually hits, it leads into that already dangerous V-trigger, they're like, okay, maybe we should pump the brakes.
Yeah.
We'll make it a low attack, but maybe it shouldn't have advantage on block. And that's what we've seen as the crouching medium kick times, when you do that twice with Balrog and you activate, you're at least -1 or -2 now. I think that's the right choice, because if it hits, you get so much. So with this in turn, it encourages the Balrog player to actually get the hit with it, rather than just activate it anyways.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest problem philosophically about this game. There's so much do it anyways tactics. Like you do your crush counter button. For what reason? Because it's good. Do it anyways. You have V trigger, medium kick with lower. Do it anyways. There's a lot of do it anyways in this game.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like. That's if they nerf that and then you're doing things intentionally, that would be amazing. That would be, I think, fantastic for this.
Yeah, I think those are definitely excellent changes that they're going for. And just going down the list from what I see there, they changed Laura's V-Trigger 1 to 3 bars. I agree with that change, and I'm a Laura main because I think it was way too strong at 2 bars for how long it lasts. And interestingly, they actually buffed some things about it from what I've seen, like her V-Trigger overhead. Now, instead of it being +3 on hit, it's +4 on hit. So I don't know if they reduced the recovery or if they increased the hit stun, but it gives her some new combo abilities that she otherwise didn't have before. And I think that could potentially be strong as a little bit of a reward, since it's going to be harder to her to get into V-trigger position.
3 bars now.
Yeah. So it's 3 bars now. Like, that extra amount of time that it gets into V-trigger position could be a situation where she might have to V-reversal because she's getting rushed down, or, it changes the game a lot. So I think it's definitely a good change. And it's still going to be a very strong V-trigger in my opinion. So I think it's a good change, making it 3.
I heard it lasts longer. It's like 33 seconds now or something like that, and nothing drains the timer for it. This is what I've heard. Obviously, I haven't tested it for myself.
I think that might be a mistake. I'm not sure. I really don't see why they would make it last longer. That would be nuts if that's true. But who knows? Well, that's one of those things we'll have to wait to confirm on that.
Yeah, we've seen some troll Twitter posts too about Alex. Like his stomp can cross you up, and that obviously was like LTG was just trolling about it. It wasn't anything true. But it's so hard to confirm these kinds of things. But I did want to talk about the V-reversal. I don't know if anybody really tested if you're gonna have knockdown advantage. So, say for example, they do the same thing with Zeku, and now Laura, who now has 3 bars, she has access. Excuse me. She has access to more V-reversals. So she has knockdown advantage on her V-reversals now. Is that better or worse than having more V-trigger? I think it's better because it's not as damaging.
Yeah.
But we just don't. There's so many questions we have unanswered. But Juri has 2 bars for her V-trigger. That to me is like that's enough of a change to make her crazy now. If you also look at the other characters that are getting adjusted, that are getting slightly worse, getting a buff from 3 to 2 with her already pretty. I think her V-trigger is great, but at 3 bars it seems pretty mediocre. But when it goes to 2 bars, it's a huge difference.
Yeah,
it's a huge difference, especially because the character has ways to crush counter you and build her V-trigger. And they also made her target combo. I didn't think about this. Her target combo can now hit on crouching opponents. What that means is that that leads into her V-skill. Since her V-trigger is now 2 bars, she can build it much faster. I think, I don't know the math, like 33% faster or something like that. So now she's able to get to her V-skill in a confirmable way with level 1, and you can. A lot of juries don't combo her level 2 V-skill, and they should. You can do the crush counter roundhouse dash up, standing short, level 2 V-skill. Now all combos, you get a ton of meter. That's gonna build you so much V-trigger now. If you do that right.
Right.
Within the 2 bar context. So yeah, Juri's looking pretty good just from going from 3 to 2 bars and her target combo being hitting crouching opponents.
Yeah, so some definitely some good changes going into with this current build of AE that they had at PlayStation Experience. And another one that I want to talk about is the changes to throw loops. It looks like it's another thing that they're addressing. I know they removed it for Ken. They adjusted it for Balrog. Like all the characters that have like those really oppressive throw loops no longer have them. So I think that's good, because that was one of the things of season 2 and even in season 1, but that it was never really addressed. And the throws in the corner, they were extremely strong. You have to guess, with such poor defensive options in this game, having a little bit more breathing room after you get thrown can only be a good thing.
Yeah, it felt like throw loops took you out of the game. But there's a lot of things like that anyways, but throw loops specifically in the corner, it's as if it doesn't matter who you are. You're in this oppressive state that you have to break a throw, go back to neutral. So throws going back to neutral if you throw them in the corner, that seems like a better approach. I do like that change. And I think about Karen as well, because Karen is one of those characters that benefits from kind of having a throw loop. It's not actually a real throw loop, but it's because her combos are so damaging, and the potential for you whiffing a throw could damage you so much if she whiff punishes it. So Karen in the corner now, if her crouching jab, if they actually did lower the hitbox of that, and she's not able to do like the juggle for the left right in the corner, which actually I think I heard you can still do that, but it's easier to see. In combination with that and not being able to throw loop you, Karen in the corner is not going to be as dangerous, and I think that's cool. I think it's fine. I think that encourages more neutral and more intentional decisions. So I like the throw loop. In all cases, I think it's healthier for the game.
Right.
And you mentioned earlier that the command grabs have increased recovery. So it's as if they might have seen that players tend to jump away from command grabs instead of do the riskier neutral jump, which in a lot of cases the neutral jump just doesn't seem like it's such a hard read to do a neutral jump.
Right.
So what I'm thinking now is if you jump away, you might still be able to punish them if they do a command grab.
Right.
Some characters can already do that, but
yeah.
Not all characters.
So the only concern that I have with that though is that I think this is just my opinion. I think I would have preferred if they would have weakened either the damage or Oki from some of the existing command grabs rather than adding more recovery to them, because by making them so much riskier now, you're allowing for characters to be able to backdash and then still get a full jump combo. So it's like they get an option that also beats the normal throw and beats the command throw. Even though the backdash does carry its own risk, it's not so much of a rock paper scissors game now. It's more like you have this one option that is rock and paper at the same time. So
it just depends on if they keep the reward for command grabs as well. And I think we're just talking about Armika and Zangief, because Laura doesn't really. She has advantage, but doesn't have on paper advantage. So Laura and Armika, when they dash up to you after a command grab, they have enough advantage to where they can do another command grab. So if they're making that process a little bit more riskier, then maybe that's the right direction for it. But I don't. It just depends on what exactly the punishes. What changes in terms of those punishments? Like, are you able to get that full jump in after you backdash, or if you jump backwards, what can you really do? I think it's a decent idea.
I think we'll have to see how it plays out. I'm just a little bit concerned that it might make backdashing a little too rewarding, in my opinion.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, the backdash is something that's not really punished enough in terms of, like, maybe Laura, you see punishes on backdashes with her standing fears.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I do like the idea of making a defensive mechanic stronger. I will say that.
Right.
That's something I would have liked to see more of, to have something like V-reversals be better. I mean, Jump Back OS it feels good to have it, But if it's not something that they intended to have, then it like they have to recalculate everything that they want it to be in the game. But it's just overall the defensive mechanics are a bit frustrating.
Yeah.
But maybe if they're nerfing offense, like this kind of implies that they might be, then they might be fine the way that the game is defensively.
Yeah. And also regarding with like backdashes, you know, I think rather than punishing the command grab itself, I think they could have like made it so that, for example, so a character like Laura, with the example that you gave, like make it so that she can't get such a big combo if she makes a read on punishing a backdash. Instead instead of you know, making her command grab way more punishable, maybe give her a lesser reward if she gets a read on a backdash.
So like maybe it's really just a crush counter thing. Make the crush counter knock down, maybe put them in a non juggle state.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the problem was more so that the options that were not command grab, like if you make the read that they're gonna backdash and you go for a crush counter, that was too rewarding. It wasn't so much that the command grab itself had too little bit of recovery, because if you decided to make the risky read of a neutral jump, you already had the option of getting big damage. But now this makes it so that you can neutral jump or backdash and still get a big punish. So it's like
it's redundant.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I.
Yeah,
meant.
you're right.
So it's like
it's
less of a choice now. It's like
I see where you're coming from.
Any choice you make is going to give you the same, the same reward.
It's like, why neutral jump now? Is what you're
exactly saying. Yeah. Why would you ever neutral jump if you can just backdash? I
feel you on that.
Yeah. So
it's the nature of not having things that many things to do on Wake Up anyways, and it's like we're still identifying symptoms of what is volatile for the game.
Right.
At the end of the day, we're still guessing. We still don't have any information to make correct choices. Yeah. And to some extent, when you knock somebody down, it should be that way. You should have the means to make your opponent choose in ways that are unfavorable to them. But it's just so frequent, and it's so often in the neutral where it's initiated. And that's one of the problems that I have with this game.
Yeah.
It seems like they're adjusting those parameters, and that's I think it's overall a good decision.
Yeah.
And I think all of these point towards that direction.
Yeah.
I think it's going as I think it might. I don't think the game is going to change. They're not doing an overhaul of how the game plays, but they're tinkering with what's already there and making that a little bit more digestible, making a little bit. It's just that overall feeling you get when you get thrown in the corner by Ken. It can be anybody off the streets, and they're like, oh, I know how to do a frame kill and a throw. It's okay, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant. And Ken's not even that good. Ken's not even like an amazing character.
Right.
But it's still there. But Ryu's donkey kick looks like trash. That's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
It looks like a normal. It looks like a regular. You hit a button and that's what happens.
Yeah, I think speaking of to touch a little bit on Ryu, I only know two things that changed with him besides V Trigger 2. I do know that somebody confirmed that he's able to do EX Fireball canceled into V Trigger 1. So it might mean that he can do regular Fireball into V Trigger 1 or DP into V Trigger 1. So those two would be a huge buff for him, because right now he's the only Shoutout that can't do that. Right. Some will argue that the reason for that is because his V trigger is 2 bars and theirs are 3 bars, but it's definitely a noticeable weakness, or I can't even say it's a weakness, but it's a noticeable difference that Ken and Akuma have versus Ryu. So the fact that they looked at that, and it was one of the requests that a lot of Ryu players wanted, I think it's definitely going to make Ryu more viable, having more, it increases combo opportunities, a bit times where he can pressure, like if he does low forward Fireball and you have to block it, and then he might get a lot of advantage if he, cancels into V trigger. Just little things like that just make him, a little bit stronger.
Quality of life.
Yeah, quality of life changes, as people like to say. And as far as his donkey kick, it's good as a function. It's good that he has that. And there goes that word. So it's excellent that he has that, because right now in the neutral, if he hits you with like a max range poke, he's not really leading into any kind of damage. He's like probably the only Shoto that if he hits you with like, let's say, a max range crouching medium kick into V trigger, the most he gets is like a sweep. Whereas like Akuma gets like crouch medium kick fireball, activate, dash up combo. Ken, his V trigger dashes in, gets a combo. So him being able to do like, let's say, low forward EX donkey kick into DP or something like that, or maybe some other type of juggle, it just kind of helps his damage in the neutral. So it's a good tool for him to have, and it just spices him up a little bit because right now, you got to face it, Ryu's really dry, man. You know,
yeah,
he's really dry. Like he's been
like Stone Age levels of complexity.
Yeah, like and that's not even mean that doesn't even mean that he's like a bad character because of that, but it's just like his fun factor is just kind of low. It's like there's nothing juicy that you could do with him. It's like, oh, I've been seeing the same Ryu since Street Fighter 2. You know, for being a new game, it's like it's just kind of boring. So the fact that they gave him one of his classic moves back, I think is great for him. But that animation, man, it's just
bunk.
Oh man, what were they thinking?
Looks like trash. You could. It's like I'm not a graphic designer artist, but I know a little bit about art and expression. You can't feel the power when you actually see that move. It's supposed to be something that's very. It launches you across the screen and wall bounces.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem the way it looks now. It does not have that effect. It doesn't match the amount of impact that it should. What you. It's not like what you see was what you get with that move. It's just it doesn't look. And I would predict that if you do something like crouching medium kick from far away, it won't combo. I think it's gonna whiff. I think you're gonna have to use EX to combo it, if anything. I have seen like low forward into donkey kick and it doesn't combo, but they might have been using the wrong strength. Yeah. Which tells me that if there are different strengths where he moves further, depending on if you do heavy kick or not, then if you do something like crouching medium kick, hard kick, donkey kick, and then it won't combo, then like, okay, whatever. What do you use that move for? What's the difference between that and hurricane kick?
Yeah.
And then I've seen people do the EX Shoryu. Maybe they mistimed it, but they'll do the EX Shoryu off of the wall bounce, and it didn't combo. I was like, what? What is it for?
Yeah,
what does it do?
It's definitely very strange right now. But about that animation, man, like comparing it to how it has been, like in every game, like there was a GIF of that move showing the third strike version, and it's just like the move, like he's in the previous animation, he like steps in, he like leans his shoulder down, he flares his fingers, his headband flies up. There's like a lot of style and power behind the move. And right now it just looks like a basic sidekick. It just doesn't have that oomph to it anymore. He doesn't even step in. He stands in place and does the kick. He doesn't even step in.
Nope, it's no source of power for it. Yeah, it's kind of just, I don't know, man. It's like I don't know. It's like I would prefer it to not be in the game if it's gonna look like that.
Yeah, I agree.
It just depends on what it does.
I agree.
All right, so I mean, I'm done talking about it.
Please fix it, Capcom.
It's like kind of disappointing.
Please fix it.
Let's talk about the positive things that we saw at Capcom Cup. Oh my gosh. Starting off with the 30th anniversary trailer. This is such a loaded trailer in many ways. There's so much to talk about with this.
Yeah.
Both in the community aspect, what the game means. Are we going to have tournaments for this game? It's on the Switch. I had to watch it like 3 or 4 times before I saw it was on Switch and Steam. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And so you're going to see like a clash of different communities. A friend of mine, Common Sense, on Twitter, he was talking about how you're going to be able to fight that guy in his mid-30s who's got all this pent-up aggression. He's got a mortgage, 2 jobs. He hasn't been to the arcade in years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're going to play that guy online. He's going to... He's like all these young whippersnappers. But so I should explain what it is. The 30th anniversary includes all of the Street Fighter games, even Street Fighter 1, the Street Fighter 2 series, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and the Alpha series. Alpha 3 will be online, Third Strike will be online, Super Turbo will be online, and I think there's one more, but that's really the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, I think Hyper Fighting.
Hyper Fighting. Third Strike Online will be a big deal for me. It's going to be really fun to stream that. I'm going to start doing lab work for Third Strike on the Xbox 360 again. I do play Third Strike maybe like once a month. I go to the arcade and play with my old friends, and it's great. That game is so much fun. Like I have the dumbest ear-to-ear grin when I play it, even when I'm getting demolished, man. I love Third Strike. So that's really big news to have this re-enter the fighting game sphere.
Yeah, I'm really happy about it too. And just to touch on it, I think one of the two things that they have to get right in order for Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection to be a real success is they mentioned that they're gonna have arcade perfect gameplay, and that's always a tough one because if you remember with Third Strike Online, they promoted that they were gonna do that, and in the end, the game is very close. To give it credit, it's very close to being arcade perfect. Probably closer than any other version before it, but it still was not arcade perfect. So I really hope that they don't market it as, they're trying to push it as arcade perfect, and then it's not again. Like, they have to get that right, and that applies to all the games that are on that list. If they're gonna say it's arcade perfect, it better be arcade perfect. Like,
better have Damn Dive, better be on top of the leaderboards. He better be doing them damn unblockable tattoos.
It's just like just little details. Like I don't know if you remember with Third Strike Online. Like I know that there was some issues with like 12 when he transforms. The Aegis reflectors didn't have the two different colors for P1 and P2. Just like some strange little glitches that just were not arcade perfect, and that applies for all the games. So I think it's very important that they're faithful to the community and making sure that they treat that aspect with love and do their best to release an arcade port of the game. And the other thing that they need to get right, which is also a difficult task in itself, is the online netcode has to be good, because if the whole point of bringing all these old games onto the current console, which is good because you don't have to fire up your old systems anymore. You could just, the same system that you play Street Fighter 5 and 4 on, you can play Third Strike on again. That's going to be so convenient and easy. But the online has to be good, because if the online is not good, you're not going to want to play anyway. So they really have to make sure that they have a good rollback netcode, nice and smooth connections, because otherwise, if those two things are not right, if it's not arcade perfect and the online is not good, the people who are going to play for maybe a month or two, and then they're going to go right back to playing in the arcade. They're not going to stick around.
The fortunate thing about having all these games included is that all the casual content has already been done years ago, so they don't have to worry about arcade mode, story mode. It's already there, just re-releasing it. One of the things I want to talk about with my friend of mine, the guy who actually introduced me to meeting the guy I met in the arcade, became good friends with him. I mentioned this to him, and I told him the arcade perfect. He was like, okay, arcade perfect, sure, maybe, but the arcade perfect experience, absolutely not. This is not going to emulate the actual meaning of arcade perfect. It's not going to have that same feeling when you're right next to somebody. Or some guy comes from a random food court place into the arcade, and you play him and he gets really upset with you in person. Nobody rages like when you feel somebody rage online. It's not the same thing as when they're raging in person. You can never capture that feeling.
Right.
The arcade was like a special place in that regard. So many different social awkwardness. Whatever the opposite of awkwardness, you meet some really good friends there. So it's hard to match that feeling. But I'm glad there's a semblance of it, at least, with this. But, boy, I'm happy to play Hugo against people who oh, I know how to play Robo-Chun, back fierce, hard punch, low forward. I can't wait to Red Parry 720. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm really happy that they're releasing that, and they have a good time to get it right. It's not coming out until May, so they definitely have the time to make sure that it's a really good product in the end.
It's interesting that the Red Bull, the recent Red Bull tournament featured Third Strike. It's almost as if they had a heads up, hey, you guys should feature these old school games because we're gonna have it as a thing. And I wonder what that means for the Capcom Pro Tour tournament series. If that's actually going to be within the cycle, if they're going to start including Third Strike, Alpha 3, and Super Turbo in their Capcom Cup series. We've seen it before with the anniversary. They did have a big Third Strike tournament during the same tournament that they had that $25,000 plus the car for Cross Tekken.
Yeah.
Third Strike was also there. So it's not exactly in the rearview mirror. I think it's on their radar. It's
Yeah,
cool to see.
that'll be awesome if they show those games some love with maybe even if it's smaller but a nice little tournament circuit. That would be really welcomed. So that
Do
was
you
excellent news.
think?
I really hope it. Only positive things come from that.
My question to you, my friend: do you think guys like Punk, NuckleDo, the young guys, Mena, do you think they can play Alpha 3 and beat someone like Alex Valle? Do you think they can play Third Strike and beat Justin? Loaded question, I know.
First year, definitely not. Maybe after a year. I think a solid year of consistently playing. I think they can do it. They can possibly get good enough, but they would need at least a full year, I think.
This is not me saying like a challenging, like taunting kind of thing, but I would love to see it happen. That's not me saying like it's not gonna happen, but I want more people to play. I just want to see more people play those games.
Yeah, no,
I would love to see
agree
them
too.
experience it.
I think those guys are talented players. I think to say that they're incapable of doing it is arrogant. But I do think that it would take at least one full year before they can.
It just takes some time.
Yeah, before they can beat someone who's been playing those games for all their life, pretty much.
The learning curve is higher. The games are harder. It's not. It's a different skill set than what they may have experienced before. Like parries are a whole different ball game. Alpha 3, that is, I don't know. Alpha 3 is actually broken with the crouch canceling kind of thing. But we'll see. I think it'll be fun to see Valle play people like that in Alpha 3. But I just look forward to the whole thing. I just hope they don't, man. When I saw this trailer, it was like a conflict of emotions. It was like super excited, but super skeptical at the same time. I was like, I didn't know how to feel. I'm like, the takeaway was just don't mess this up, please.
Yeah, some cool stuff that I forgot to mention that I really liked about it too was that they added some more casual features that personally I like. Like they have they're gonna have a sprite viewer. I thought that was crazy. I'm like, I've always wanted to freaking look at the sprites and be able to move through them one by one for all those games that are on that list. You'll be able to see all the sprites. So like, let's say you've always wanted to see like how an attack goes frame by frame. They're gonna have that available, so that's gonna be cool. And they're gonna have like a gallery mode for all the games, also like with all the concept art and official art for the game. And I think that stuff is like really important to just kind of like have that complete package for for these old games. So it'll be a nice hit in the nostalgia wheel.
So I mean, of course you're gonna see the old you don't have to pause the game anymore. You don't have to go on your Super Nintendo, do the spinning bird kick with Chun-Li, pause the game at the right moment. Now you can just view it yourself frame by frame. So some also new fan service we got is the Sakura trailer. Big news for our friends Alex Myers, Urien, all the old Chris G, all the old Sakura players. She looks great. I think she looks really good. Like design, not even talking about like the character's move sets, but just the presentation of the character is fantastic. I think she looks great.
Yeah, she looks great. No Ibuki faces over here, man. They really did a good job with her face. And and just her new costume looks really cool too.
Yeah, she's like works at an arcade, so she has like an announcer kind of thing. So she's trying to get her. She's having that life crisis. Like, I don't know what to do with my life. Am I fighting? Am I working all the time?
Yeah.
And let's see. It's like the same story before in terms of how the character works. Judging by a trailer, it's really hard to deduce and extract data from that. I really don't care too much until I actually have the character, but I did have a couple notes. I did write down quite a few things of what I saw about Sakura while I was doing the analysis on her. Did you do any kind of like analysis for that?
The one thing a couple of things I noticed from the Sakura trailer, and this is kind of going into the lore, not even like about her moveset or anything like that, but her headband is red, which means she may have officially gotten a headband from Ryu, because her headband was always traditionally white. And her gloves, she has Ryu's gloves now too, so kind of interesting that I think that'll probably go into a little bit of her story. Maybe Ryu acknowledged her as as like a strong fighter now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's interesting that she does have like an Akuma style V skill demon flip. That is her V skill, where she leaps into the air, like kind of like Chun-Li, and then she has options while she's in the air to do a dive kick, a throw, and I think a punch too. I think she has like the Otoshi punch, I think it's called, something like that.
Yeah, so she had the Otoshi punch. She has the dive kick from CVS2, the one that she used to be able to do while jumping backwards, which was really cheap. And then she had like a new like command grab option. So it definitely is very reminiscent of a demon flip. And I think it's going to be strong. Actually, it's going to be a good V skill.
It's crazy because that is going to contribute towards her V trigger meter. If she has a V skill that has advantage on block, I'm assuming the dive kick will have advantage on block. So you can not only use it as a combo tool, but you can use it as a way to pressure people and gain V trigger at the same time. So if she does have a 2-bar V trigger, she might be able to build it up fairly quickly. And I mean, I don't know, she's looking like a pretty straightforward character, but a really powerful one at the same time.
Yeah.
The thing, I predict that the light kick Tatsu will have some advantage on block. Maybe put you in throw range, so it might be +1 or 2. I'm sure her standing hard punch will be similar. Maybe, actually, no, it looks kind of slow. It looks like she has 2 standing hard punches, like a straight punch and a swing kind of move. The swinging kind of move looks like it has the most blocks done or hits done, and that's something that you would want to go into the V skill with. Not unlike Zeku standing hard punch into the Bushin flips. So if you can use that as a means to pressure your opponent and also build V trigger, I think she's looking pretty dangerous. And Tatsu's.
Yeah, and if her Tatsu it works the way it did in SF4, you know, it's gonna blow up throw attempts. And in a game that doesn't have crouch text, it's gonna be pretty damn strong if she could throw you or Tatsu.
Her standing jab links into this move. I don't know if it's her medium punch. I'm pretty sure it is. And that links into the swinging hard punch. So if you combine all those things and say they're actually frame traps on block, if you combine that with V trigger, V skill, maybe something like Tatsu that has advantage, her pressure is gonna look. I'm a little bit concerned with how much you're gonna have to hold. I'm sure you can actually V reversal a few things though, but
yeah. And another thing that looks good is that she has 3 light attacks confirmed into Dragon Punch. And I know why they gave her that, because that's like one of those Sakura things that she has always had in every game. So they wanted to keep that feeling intact. But for a game like Street Fighter V, where a lot of characters only get 2 light attacks to confirm with, and she has 3, that's very good.
She's looking like Cammy. She's looking a lot like Cammy with a fireball, V skill that you can use frequently. I don't know, man. Not really like as powerful as a dive kick, but offensively, the pressure. I'm thinking, looking a lot like the old Cammy.
Yeah, and her classic stage looks great too. It looks like they really kept it faithful to the original Alpha 2 stage.
It looks good, and I mean, pull on the nostalgia heartstrings all you want. It's all good, man. They at that point we're like kind of satisfied. We're like, okay, cool, Sakura. And then they pulled like a rabbit out of the hat. They showed us the silhouettes of the characters in the future, and then it's like they know. They're like, oh, come on, like, why do we gotta do this? Why do we gotta go through this again? And then, Ono comes on, hello, Branca, and then he's like, if you have be disappointed if I leave the stage, kind of like Harada did. And they played another trailer, and that was the trailer of all trailers. That put people back into that feeling, there's like something. It's not even like a nostalgic feeling. There's some kind of connection that Street Fighter players, both new and old, that we have for this game, and that really pulled on the heartstrings of that. That AE trailer, something else.
Yeah, they did a really good job with the way they that they, like you said, that they trolled us a little bit with the silhouettes, and then they went straight into the trailer right after. And the fact that they revealed all the new characters for season 3, I think they just hit the ball out of the park with that one. The intro itself was great. The music was great. It kind of had that Tekken feel, and it's a mix of returning characters with 2 completely new characters, And you can arguably even say that Cody might be a new character, even though he's returning. But the fact that he looks completely different and he broke the chains might mean that he might fight completely different. So in essence, he might be a new character. So it's a lot to look forward to. The new characters look great. I don't know how to say her name. I'm gonna just say Falk and G.
I think that's right.
Yeah, Falk and G look really cool. I'm more interested in G, just because like he looks interesting with the sleeveless, suit and the top hat and the big beard, and he kind of has like a lot of people didn't notice this, but he has like gold on his arms, like on like this part of his arms and stuff. So I don't know if that plays into the whole gold theme that they're going with AE, but who knows? He might be like a boss character or something. He might be someone important to the storyline. So he looks really interesting to me. And just the fact that he's like, he kind of looks like Abe Lincoln, but then he's like doing the whole point like we want you for Uncle Sam thing. So it might be a play on that. So he looks interesting. I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do with that character.
It's interesting that he has a one-letter name too, not unlike Q. We have another character who has a one-letter name. Now here's my theory that I'm not committed to. G is Q, right? He's actually Q, but before he gets captured or something, right? But G is also like a presidential figure for the world. When you see him do that point, it kind of points towards a political leader. And you see a globe behind him, but it's not just the United States; it's the whole world. It's like every continent in like the form of stars. And you hear people cheering for him. So to me, he seems like a world leader. But if that is the case, he's probably fighting against like Bison, Urien, Guile. He's probably like the ambassador for civilians, the civilian life.
Right.
And he's like the so he's against the evildoers. So if he is in fact Q, that means the evildoers. They won. They took apart somebody like him and made them his own, or something like that. Actually, we don't know anything about Q.
Yeah.
But that's what I think is part of the lore here. And it's also interesting that Cody, there's some speculation that he might be a mayor, so there's more politically charged content in the game coming if he is a mayor. And how will he interact with somebody who's the leader of the world? So, I mean, this is all speculation. It's not really real. So, yeah, some people say that G looks like the character from Bloody Roar. I did a side-by-side comparison. I'm not on board with it. I don't think it's true. It's coincidental. They don't really look the same in their attire. It's just they have a beard, top hat, and they're kind of bulky. And it's a male. It's pretty much the thing here.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Cody's new look reminds me of Roy from Rival Schools a little bit.
Oh. I'm surprised at the characters that aren't included too. Because there are some Rival School characters in the game, and I think they have the capability to put someone like Batsu or Batsu.
Ryoma.
Yeah, and like there's plenty of Rival School characters that they could put in the game. But interesting. Falk, I don't know. It's hard to speculate. Falk, her name is German for like falcon, so she might be like an air type of character. When they have that interaction with Ryu gets pulled down into like a cycle power kind of thing. I think that it's a team effort. I think that's what Falk does. She does something from the ground, like a trap kind of thing, and then Ed contains him in the ground. Ryu gets all salty. He starts releasing the Dark Hado. He gets in the face and he wakes up.
Yeah, that part was cool. I think the trailer overall was really cool. I like the way the scenes were, they were kind of like in a movie set backdrop, and like the scenes were transitioning into each other. Like Colleen, she did like her V-trigger stomp, and it led into Rashid doing his tornado, which flew up into like another scene, and I thought it was really cool.
The visuals and the movement of the characters, it was really well done. There was actually not any voices other than a cheer for G. There's no like voices at all. There's no voice acting.
Right.
I should point out. So that means they didn't have to outsource or pay the people who do the voice acting for that. They can just they can focus on making the trailer artistic in that way. It looked, oh my gosh, it looked amazing. The Chun-Li part of it, that to me was like them saying, hey man, we're sorry about MVCI. Our bad's about her face.
Sure, man. She's like doing her makeup and stuff. She's like, yeah, look guys, I'm still hot, I'm still pretty.
It's so intentional.
I still got
It's so
it.
intentional. Like they know. They know. I don't know. Maybe there's some behind the scenes thing. Maybe there's some behind the scenes things going on at Capcom that we're not aware of. Like there are a lot of people on our side, but there's so much like I don't know if litigation is the right word for it. There's a lot of like political things that they can't bypass to appease the fans. I don't know, but it's a good sign that makes you feel like they're on our side and they're not taking from us.
Yeah.
It seems like that was a gift, and that's something that we felt. I think a consensus of people they don't feel like they're getting what they want out of Street Fighter V. And
Yeah.
that's a good sign. It's a good sign that they're listening. There's a connection. That there's a connection between how the audience, how their market feels, and the product that they're putting out. So it's really good to see this kind of thing we put out by Capcom.
Yeah. One part that I thought was really cool also, and it was in the beginning of the trailer, was when Akuma was beating up on Ryu, and then Ryu finally blocks like the last attack, and he gets like a little scar on his cheek or something, like a little cut or something, and then like it just cuts to Ryu like kind of like taking a step forward, and it shows his face. He's like,
yeah, he's looking forward.
Yeah, it's like it's like he's standing up for himself. Like after being so terrible in season 2, he's like, that's it. This has to stop. I'm ready to bust some ass now. I will not be bullied anymore.
Is that Sagat? I don't care. I don't care if Sagat's on the screen. New character reveal. Look, I got this. Y'all hold my beard. Shoryuken.
Yeah.
It's him right in the chest. Ripple effect. Sagat spits out sweat from his silly looking lips.
So yeah, I think they portrayed Ryu really well in this trailer. Like he's not the punk that he became in season 2. They're kind of like letting you know like this guy's gonna be a real contender again. So I like the way they showed him.
It's interesting that they use the opener. You see rain, and then you see a meditation from Ryu. So it's like we're seeing this through his looking glass. It's Ryu's perspective that we're seeing this trailer. So he's seeing Akuma first behind a waterfall, and waterfall is something that Ryu is associated with, like the Shoryuken training. His Shoryuken, he has like resistance from the water. It's a cool looking ending in the Street Fighter 2 series.
Yep.
So you see Akuma come out of that. Akuma, on paper, I believe is the best character in the game on paper. So you see Akuma first, and then you start seeing visions of other characters. And you see how like they are, and it's like a good presentation of all of them. And then you see Sagat at the end. He beats Sagat, but then he loses to the psycho power from Ed and Falk, and then he wakes up from that illusion. And he still has that mark on his face when he wakes up from the meditation after the rain's over. There's a lot of things to look at, because then it's like we're seeing it as Ryu, like we are Ryu in his meditation.
Right.
We're seeing all the things to come in Street Fighter AE.
Yeah,
so it's cool. It has like all these metaphors you can attach to it that might not be the case, but I like it.
Yeah, and just going a little bit more into the lore also, I thought it was interesting that when they in Laura's scene, when she's like doing her katas, Ryu is doing it with her, like they're training together or something. So there's probably going to be some sort of a link story wise with Ryu and Laura. Maybe he trains her or something, or something like that.
It's peculiar because Ken trains Sean, her brother.
Yes.
That's or maybe Sean looks up to her. I don't know. I really don't know the lore to that. But I think that Sean finds Ken as a role model, just like Karen, and Sakura for Ryu. So it's like they have like their own schools of training.
Yes.
It's really weird.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. I mean, who knows? Maybe Ryu is just like, hey, she's kind of hot. You want to learn some moves?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really interesting about Zeku and Laura, though, the way they interact. Because even in their frame data, there are some similarities. Did you guys know that EX Run Stop is the same frame data as Laura's Avante? Their command dashes are exactly the same. The EX Run Stop is, I can't remember, I think it's 24 or something like that. And the Avante is the same. I don't remember the exact number. Standing medium kick, same thing. Standing medium punch, kind of the same anti-air. So they have a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Interesting stuff there.
So that's really it. Those are the new trailers. The Arcade, Perfect, the 30th anniversary, the Sakura trailer, the AE trailer. It's all looking good. I think 2018 is going to be a great year for fighting games. A good year for Street Fighter. A good game for Capcom, except for Marvel.
Yeah, I think I just want to give a shout out to Capcom. I think the way they ended, the way they chose to like save all these announcements for Capcom Cup. I think they hit it out of the park with the way they presented that AE trailer. It's a really good sign of faith, after, for lack of a better word, a pretty troubling year with 2017. A lot of people were like kind of like, not everybody, but a lot of people were kind of losing faith that they kind of like were out of touch with the community stuff. So the way they presented all that stuff just kind of like restored the faith, at least for me, that they still know what the fans want and what the fans care about. And you know, hopefully they just keep on that train, you know, and 2018 stays good.
Yep. Man, it's been a rough year, 2 years, whatever, however long this game has been out. It has not been an easy ride. But yeah, I'm still here. There's been many times where I've wanted to put this game away, and I've taken many breaks. Even recently, I was like, my wife and even my dad was like, "You put too much time into what you're doing. you're stressing yourself out too much with all the different projects you got going on. So like, take a break." So I was like, okay, gladly. And then, you know, Capcom Cup. After that, I've been back on the grind. Yesterday, I've been streaming. Podcast going back up today. So I'm in it for the long run. 2018, I'll be there. I'll be there to teach all the new characters, and I'm sure Javits will be doing his part as well.
Right here with you, brother.
Yeah, we got your back. So there's a few more things to talk about in the future with the Fighting EX layer. I really don't have that much to say about it. It seems like maybe not a gimmicky game. I feel like it's going to be played in a way that's not intentional. You're going to see like infinites. You're going to see really cheap strategies that they possibly didn't design for the game to be. This is my prediction for it.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a fun game, but it might fall into the realm of like Kusage. I think that's what they call it in Japan.
Yeah.
It's going to be not like a great game, but it might be fun to play. Yeah, but I could be wrong. Looks promising. I think one of the defining features will be like the activations for the gems, which I really don't know too much about. But that seems to me like one of the more interesting aspects of the game.
Yep.
Dragon Ball Super. I wish I had more to say about it. I already pre-ordered it. I will be playing that game and breaking it down just like I do every other game. But it looks like a easy Guilty Gear. Kinda. That feels like an unfair assessment to me because I just don't have enough data to really make a fair assessment.
Yeah.
But I do look forward to it. I will say when I saw this game at EVO, I felt like Doug Funny when he sees Patty Mayonnaise and like the music comes around. I just could not stop looking at it. It's such a good looking game. The presentation is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. They're really putting a lot of effort to really be faithful to the manga and the anime. So I'm sure they're not going to fall short in the visual department and the gameplay. You know, it's an Arxis game. You know, you can't. It's going to be great too. So, but I think that's a simplistic assessment. Saying it's like a simpler Guilty Gear. I think that's fair to say. It does have some different mechanics from other anime games, but and some stuff from Marvel too. But I think that's a overall simple assessment, and I'm sure it's going to be a ton of fun. So I'm just waiting more until it's closer to release to have more to say about it. Because just like you, there's just not that much that I know about it at this point.
Yep. So there's like a homing thing. Well, I think what will make it something that is unique to Guilty Gear is just you have two other characters and you have assists. So there's going to be team building. There's going to be different strategies that are based on matchups. You might want to switch out according if you're playing Android 16 and then you want to have 17, or you want to have this character to punish something very specific from an activation from et cetera, et cetera. So I think that'll be what's going to be interesting about the game, the interaction of which character are you playing in the team. Because in games like Marvel, you have like this ideal point kind of thing. You do have some strategies, but the offense is so overwhelming that it's like, every character is just valuable to have on the screen, like for the most part. But in Dragon Ball Super, I feel like there'll be more of a dynamic approach to how you win matchups. So that's something I look forward to.
Yep.
So yeah, Dragon Ball Super comes out. I don't know. I have it pre-ordered, so whenever it comes out, I'll be playing it.
Yeah, and, I think it's January 18th, if I'm not mistaken.
That's not too far off from the AE update, is it? I think January 16th is when AE drops.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's a little bit of a conflict of interest for me. I'm going to have to split my day up and do both of them.
Yep.
Dang. That's crazy. So, yeah, Dragon Ball Super. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Same.
All right, I guess Zeku is our last topic. And the idea is to talk about Zeku now compared to the earlier podcast that we did. And I'll say this. I'll come out swinging. I doubled down on the notion that he has the same mentality of Laura V-Trigger when he's in young and has V-Trigger. I doubled down on that. I think he's derp.
And I'll start by saying this, that I think anything that you say from this point will hold more weight and validity than anything I say, because I have not been playing Zeku since the last time that we spoke. But I do know that Sanford has actually been playing a lot of Zeku, and he's been going through kind of ups and downs with him. He's kind of still in that stage where some days he thinks Zeku is great, and then some days he thinks Zeku is really not that good. I actually was having a conversation with Sanford yesterday about it, and one of the conclusions that he came up with, you know, that he was telling me the difficulties that he has in some of the sets while using Zeku is something that I noticed early on. It might, you know, there are different strategies, but it's basically that Zeku is not too big of a threat from his lows, so it's it's easy to defend Zeku, in my opinion. So that's why I still see that as a weakness, and I think that once people understand that he's not that strong in his current state, my opinion. And what Sanford was telling me was kind of the same thing. So let's say you block his a crouching jab or something, and he's in young Zeku. The most he can really get, if you hit with a max range low forward into activate, he can't combo into anything from that at max range. So, and you can't do like crouching jab into low short into down jab into horizontal.
Oh yeah, you have to start with the low.
Yeah, you have to start
go
with
into
the
crouching
low.
short.
So it's like you can a simple way to defend against Zeku is like you block low first and then you just walk back. It'll avoid the throw and any kind of damage that he can get from a low. So I think that's a little bit problematic that he doesn't have like scary lows.
Yeah, he's not caring in that regard.
Yeah, so I think that's like a weakness. That doesn't necessarily make him a weak character, but I see it as a glaring weakness that he has. And
yeah,
Stanford was.
There's a lot of characters that do have that. I would say that he has more low options than most characters, but I think that low attacks just aren't really that prevalent in Street Fighter V. They're not that frequent, and I think he has serviceable attacks, but I do agree that they're not impressive. They're not like something that you're constantly threatened by, and there are answers after certain points. But he does have the lows, like a crouching medium kick, old Zeku activate, standing medium punch, that works out. You always have the option to go into the E.10, that kind of thing. So they're not non-existent, but I do agree that they are like average at best. I would say that.
Yeah.
But as far as Sanford, I feel like you would get a wavering opinion based on like if he's winning or losing at that point.
Yeah.
And Sanford he's gonna have like a strong feeling. He's very a feeling kind of person. Like whatever happens in the moment. That's how he assesses what is reality, which is not unfair. It's just kind of a human instinct kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like you come around, you learn new things about the character, and like, oh, okay, I have a new solution. But I mean, young Zeku slide, when you have V-trigger with that is a great deterrent to encourage your opponent to block low. Because you can activate that late. If they block it, you can have advantage off of it. I think that's a good, not just the crouching short, crouching jab into light punch horizontal. I think the slide into V-trigger, I actually forgot about that. It's like a really important tool.
Yeah.
That's really good for the lows. But to maybe expand more on what I mean about young Zeku having the same mentality as Laura, where you have this sort of do-it-anyway problem that exists in a lot of Street Fighter V. Young Zeku has that big time, I think. With the target combos, with the slide into V-trigger, with the sort of like autopilot offense that I think young Zeku has, especially in V-trigger. I think that he has the same mentality as something like standing medium kick with Laura. In fact, he has the exact same standing medium kick now that they're nerfing Laura's into 7 frames. Exact same thing, I think. Yeah, three active frames. So that standing medium kick activate off of old Zeku leads into crouching or standing hard punch into the Teki, into the Koku. Then you save the Idanten. Those are all really good strategies to me. The mid-range isn't as bad as it seems. If you get a crush counter roundhouse, it can be quite good to build up that V-trigger. I think he's overall a solid character. He has the ingredients of being a derpy character. He can actually play like that. I think the character is really good. And if they keep him the same and they do those nerfs to Urien, to Balrog, and that kind of thing, I think he's going to have a really bright future. They might even give him another buff or something. I think Zeku is fine the way he is. I like the character. I think this is the character for me.
Yeah, I could see that. I could agree with that. Just based on the fact that those other characters that are extremely powerful right now are getting nerfed, and like just some stuff that with the game engine overall changing, like throw loops being hurt, like the fact that young Zeku doesn't have like a reversal, but now that if he gets thrown, he's not in the blender, it's gonna help him a lot. So I could definitely see him being more of a threat. Like I said, I don't think he's a weak character, but I just don't see what you see. I think, but to your point, to your defense, you use him a lot more than me, so there's you have a different perspective. I just haven't seen that.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool that some more people are picking him up though. Like Big Bird has been putting him more in the mix, and even Momochi used him to beat Fudo.
Yeah, it's crazy. He didn't even play. He didn't play an optimal Zeku to be not to be hating or whatever, but he won with a suboptimal Zeku.
Yeah. So the fact that the character, he still kind of has that unfamiliarity factor helping him a little bit also, but the fact that he is equipped to kind of hold his own, he's certainly not a weak character. I just don't think in the current state of the game he's that strong either. So it's going to be interesting to see how he develops in Season 3.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I do feel like this is the character for me to play. It's like it has the Gen thing. It's got the stance changes. He's got a little bit of nuttiness with the young V trigger. And I think it has like the old school DP fireball thing. It reminds me a lot of playing Sagat and Jin in Street Fighter Cross Tekken in one character. It's like Jin is the young and Sagat is the old.
Oh,
so I feel right at home.
That's interesting. I never thought about that, but it kind of does make sense.
Yeah, I feel right at home when I play him. Yeah. I actually haven't played him offline yet. I need to. Like I'm starting going to tournaments again and really practicing and playing the game. But
nice.
So we can do Q&A if you have some time to spare.
Sure. Yeah.
We got some questions in the chat. All right, so what do you guys think of Zeku V-Trigger 2? Dude Brew asks. I think it's weak. I don't have a fair assessment, of course, but I think it's going to be a very slightly a matchup-specific thing. I would love to have V-Trigger 2 against Zangief as of right now, because the thing is, it's a DP. If it has invincibility, it's something you can use on Wake Up. That'll be great. But since it's a V-Trigger animation, it does not require the directional inputs. So it's going to be better than a jab anti-air from Necalli in Season 1. It's going to be better because it does more damage. It looks like it has good knockdown on the V-Trigger, or it has a good knockdown, and it's just an input. So I think it's going to be good in some matchups.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it other than the fact that it looks like an uppercut. I don't know if it has any kind of special juggle properties or things like that. So I can't really speak on it because I need to get more info about it.
Yeah.
I know that he's able to cancel like moves into it. Like I know he did a Gram, and he could cancel into the V trigger. But besides that, I just don't have enough information about it to be able to really judge how good or bad it is.
I wish that more people would have that response. It's like a lot of people in fighting games, before they know anything, they have such a strong opinion, and it's like it's so important to identify what we don't know and what we don't have a fair, accurate assessment on, and it's important to identify when we're incorrect about things too, and because that presents a learning opportunity. So it's like speculation for that kind of thing, but I don't think it'll be an extremely powerful V trigger, but I think in some matchups it might be worth considering.
Yeah.
Specifically Zangief. Zangief, it's like a polarized opinion. It's like Zeku players, I don't like playing against Zangief. Zangief players are like, oh, this matchup's impossible. He outzones you free. I heavily disagree. It's just the nature of Zangief. If he gets one good flex and then he gets the hard punch SPD, it sucks. Doesn't matter what character you play.
Yeah, when I was playing against Zeku, I agree with you in the sense that you have you have control only for so much time, and then
Yeah.
it's just very stressful the whole time through. So if you're constantly feeling stressed that one bad decision could cost you the game, the matchup may look good, but it's probably not as good as it looks initially. I think it's about even to me, in my opinion. Honestly, it's pretty even.
Yeah, I think it'll help out the V-Trigger 2 against Zangief, specifically jump medium kick. If I see jump medium kick now, it's hard to be able to crank out the DP in time. Maybe I need to play offline and it'll be fine. But that might just be the solution. That also brings up, I don't want to talk too much about this, but it also brings up online play. Will you be able to change your V-Trigger when you see the other person's character? I don't know.
Oh, that's an interesting, I never thought about that. That'll be...
Or are you committed to using one V-Trigger skill when you play online? But I don't want to get too much into it, to be honest, because I want to knock some of these questions out.
Yeah.
Anything on Soul Calibur 6, I don't really know too much. The only 3D game that I'm aware that I put some time into is Tekken 7. But Soul Calibur 6, it's cool. It's cool that it's coming out. Anything? Nothing. Nothing.
No, I got nothing, man. It looks
Calibur
cool.
6.
I'm happy it's back. I guess the only thing I can say that I know is kind of a reboot. They're kind of going back to the events of Soul Calibur 1, but kind of scared about that because that might mean that my favorite character, Hildy, won't come back. But I'm happy it's back.
Maybe
not sure.
Maybe she'll have a replacement function.
I don't want a function. I want Hildy.
Oh boy! But you can check out Avoiding the Puddle. He has a lot of opinions on Soul Calibur 6, and he's like one of the best old school Soul Calibur players. So you check out Eris for that kind of for that topic. Papa Gaudi asks, who do you feel is the next relative unknown player who's ready to make a meta type leap in our scene? Do you have any idea for that?
I don't think he's unknown, but or he's definitely not unknown. But I think Big Bird is gonna have a very strong year in 2018 because he didn't have a bad year this time around, and every time I see that kid, he's only getting better. He's always extremely impressive to me. He kind of has like shades of Momochi in his some of the stuff that he's able to pull off, like his hit confirms and just really like he always does really sick stuff, man. That kid is a little bit of a fighting game genius, I would say. So I expect to see a lot of good things from him in 2018.
It's so surprising how solid he is for how young he is and how little access he has to like people to play the game with.
Yeah.
Even online, I'm sure the pool of players is limited. So yeah, it's really impressive how much of the type of player that he is. I would say JB, maybe Kami, but I think JB, I think he'll do really well next year.
You heard it here first, guys.
But he's not really that unknown at
this
point. Who's getting hurt the worst in AE as far as nerfs? Ibuki. Another question. It's hard to dive into that. You just don't know enough.
Yeah, I can't say. I don't know.
Right now, I think Karen, but it's just because I think I know more. I have more speculation about Karen, but my speculation could be wrong. It could be something with other characters. It's hard to say.
Yeah, because Balrog got hit hard too. Like turn punch was nerfed. The crouching medium kick nerfed. Throw loops nerfed. A lot of the stuff that he's winning from was all nerfed. Even like the pushback on the V trigger 1 Rekkas. The rush punches, the pushback was reduced, so the frame disadvantage for him is more meaningful now.
Meaningful for his opponent.
Yeah, meaningful for his opponent. That when he stops the series, he's at a range where he might have to block a button. Where right now, he's like at a safe range where he's not really throwable, and so
he can whiff punish the recovery of your normal with like a crouching medium punch.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, so like I think that's a big nerf. And his damage was nerfed because his crush counter combo was nerfed. So I think he got hit pretty hard. From what I know, probably harder than any other character that I've seen so far. Does that mean he got hit the hardest? I don't know because I don't know what the other characters' nerfs are.
Let's only hope so. So, any big meta changes you've gleaned from the balance changes? What will season 3 look like? Do you want to start that off, or I can cover that.
Big meta changes. I think players will have to be a little bit more creative in how they're going to get their damage because of the nerf to throws, the throw loops. But besides that, I think the gameplay, like the overall meta of the game, isn't going to change too much. I think just the throw game is just going to be a little bit weaker, so people are going to have to get better at staggering their counter hit setups.
I feel that they're making the game less obnoxious. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
It's like it's like the nature is still going to be obnoxious, but the reward for playing obnoxiously, you still have to play that way, but it's not going to entail, it's not going to result in higher damage kind of thing. And if you're nerfing throws as well, it's going to make the post obnoxiousness less volatile. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
Did anyone ask Ono if Capcom is doing anything with the new Unreal Engine 4 update? Tekken is releasing their patch December 14th with the reduced input lag. I haven't heard any comment about it, but I'm hopeful that this game will have better input delay.
Yeah, I'm sure they're probably looking at it, but I can't say if they're gonna do anything anytime soon. Yeah, if they had something to tell us, they would have told us by now. So it's hard to say. Hopefully they are looking at it.
Yeah, that makes me think about a lot of things. Like, did they develop this game without delay? Did they actually develop this game as if it was a 4-frame input delay game? And it also makes me think that this game will still be played similarly when you don't have a delay. It'll be better, but the same strategies will still exist, and it won't be that much of a... Because of input buffering, because of, pretty much input buffering, and the low recovery on normals, you'll still see the same type of thing. But you might see more whiff punishing if there is even just 1 frame improved from the input delay.
Yep.
But it's really in the frame data. It's like... Well, I don't want to get too deep into it, but... I hope for the best. I hope that the update does change how the game is played, and make it more enjoyable for everybody. So Mitsuho asks, which character has you hyped the most in season 2, and why is it Sagat?
You mean season 3?
Season 3, I'm sure.
Well, Sagat is a given. I'm happy to see him back, but actually, I'm really excited for Cody and G. Those are the 2 characters that I'm most excited about. Cody, because I've always been a fan of Cody. I like how he's kind of like this hard-hitting brawler, but the fact that the shackles are off, he might be even crazier now, because it was always part of the lore that Cody's like extremely powerful, but then he was like kind of holding back because he's always like
with the cuffs.
Yeah, he got the cuffs, and he's always like fighting at like minimal effort. He's always like, yawning and stuff. So
boring.
Yeah. Like that was always like his thing, but now that he doesn't have the handcuffs, it's like he could really do what he wants to do, So he might be really crazy this time around. And G, he just looks cool, so I like new characters, completely new. Zeku was a new character too, but the fact that he was like gonna be based on Guy, he's not like 100% new, but with G, we don't know what to expect, so it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do with him. And the reason I haven't mentioned Falk is because I'm just not too interested in her design. I'm not too thrilled by it. Nothing about her looks too interesting to me. But G looks like real funky and like has a cool look to him. So
there's a big question mark around that character. There's very little information or to know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for Sagat, but I'm really excited just for new content. Every character will be a good journey. It'll be fun to figure them all out. I'm looking forward to everything. Let's see. Where was I? Character hyped. Do you think that being at the first seed of Capcom Cup is a huge disadvantage? In terms of playing an unknown opponent, of course. Of course it's a disadvantage. You're going into something unknown. But, I mean... How much can you really prepare for Capcom Cup? There's going to be so many unknown variables. It's guaranteed that you're going to... I mean, maybe not guaranteed, but you're going to have some type of unfamiliarity with the situation that you're in. Because people are researching you. You're researching everybody. Do you have enough time to really research everybody and do that kind of thing? Or Punk, at least on Twitter, he admits that he doesn't do any research at all. So he's like, you can't be unprepared for something that you never prepare for. That kind of thing. He has like the,
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it's a disadvantage.
Yeah, I agree. I think at that stage though, it's like you said, there's so many killers that that made it to Capcom Cup that anybody who he would have faced would have been a challenge. So, it does suck that he has to be the one to face the person who won Last Chance qualifier. So it's kind of like that question mark. But at the same time, that could also, one can argue that he could potentially fight the weakest player. So it's hard to call that. I think everybody had tough matches, so I don't think he had like a tougher or the toughest draw. It's there's pros and cons to it.
Yep. Ulrich, what's going on, man? He said, we don't have a clear picture yet, but of the Season 3 data that has leaked, what, if anything, encourages you that Capcom is improving the game? I feel like we discussed this quite a bit, but to put it into like a brief summary, Urien doing standing hard punch and getting a lesser combo, it's a good sign to me. Some people don't like it, but to me, that's a good sign that there's some type of like damage control on things that are kind of obnoxious.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like they're for the most part keeping a lot of the way Street Fighter V plays the same, but just kind of toning it down. And I think that's a fair medium. I think people are learning to play this game a certain way, and they're not gonna have to readjust too much, but they're just not gonna get so much of a big reward for doing low risk stuff. So it's definitely a better direction than where they went with Season 2. So for the most part, the changes have been better. There's still some little things that I think could be changed, but it's only going in a good direction. So I like the direction it's going in.
Yeah. So Kirby Poppins asks, why would I ever pick Abigail's V-Trigger 2? It's like, maybe you can take this one if you'd like. Why would I ever?
What I'll say to that is, at this point, we don't have enough information on his V-Trigger 2, and you don't know if they nerfed his V-Trigger 1. So to say that you would never pick V-Trigger 2, which you don't know anything about, is a little bit of a rough decision because you don't have enough information about it. There's no information other than the fact that it guard breaks and that it looks like Juggernaut's Head Crush Super. It might have insane range where you can't jump out of it, whereas his V-Trigger 1 option sometimes you can jump out of, or it might be unthrowable. You just don't know. It could have some sort of maybe combo ability that he can cancel normals into it, which right now he can't do that or something. It might function as a special move. There's a lot of things that you just don't know until you have it yet.
I think it's that gut feeling, gut feeling reaction that his V-Trigger 1 is so obnoxious and powerful. I've been saying obnoxious a lot because it kind of describes a lot of things that we feel, but it's just that standing hard punch charged up into the charged up back hard punch. That is already like, why would I do anything else besides that? But the truth is that a lot of people don't have the right strategies against the V-Trigger 1. There is a lot of unfamiliarity with Abigail, the character himself. So we'll see a change in the meta of how people approach Abigail in the first place. And like Javits points out, there's a lot of unknown properties about the V-Trigger 2 that we have yet to really process and see what it's really about. So I mean, there might be plenty of reasons, or it might be trash. You just don't know.
Yeah, don't know yet.
Let's see. Hate the matchup. What you thought about command grab nerf on A? We talked about that earlier. Could Ken be the new Season 2 Ryu? It's all in context of the game. Like, it just depends on across the board nerfs. I mean, maybe as a result of Balrog not being, maybe Balrog is the new Ryu. We don't really know too much. But I don't know. Ken might be fine.
Yep.
Saw a video of people changing V-triggers during load time. That's cool. There should be a timer next to the viewers on Twitch now. I'm triggered. This is probably like old chat data from the answering other questions. I heard that you can punish Ibuki's EX kunai on block. I don't know about that. That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I heard it has less advantage. I didn't hear that it was punishable.
Maybe if she dashes up at you, then you can punish. But I wouldn't think that. I can't see a scenario where it doesn't have some type of advantage because you have the kunai and then the explosion.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would adjust that. Is Rashid getting nerfed? That I don't know. Actually, it's been pretty quiet about Rashid.
Yeah, I don't know too much about him, so I can't speak on it. I don't know what changed.
I heard you can't combo the sweep off of the crouching hard punch.
Oh yeah, that I did hear. That his crouching hard punch is now +6 instead of +7.
Oh man. Oh okay. Sure. No salty opinions on that one for me. We just accept the. Okay, my gut feeling was like, really, that's it?
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Sure. Okay. Ibuki's air target combo is mix up is gone. That's good news. That I feel like is one of those unintentional things that played a big role in how Ibuki potentially plays.
Yeah.
How was tap nerfed? Do you wanna take the wheel on that one?
Turnaround punch was nerfed in that all versions are -2 on block now. So regardless of how long you charge, he can never become plus. Right now, if you charge to level 4, he becomes +1 on block. So he has a high damage option that on block leads to an advantageous situation. He's losing that. He's still going to be safe, but if you block a turn punch, it's always your turn now to pressure him back. And also they removed strike invincibility. There's no strike invincibility until level 4, so he needs to charge for at least 8 seconds before he gets any type of strike invincibility. So those are two huge nerfs. It's going to affect him in a lot of matchups. For example, versus Armika, which is already a tough matchup for Balrog. He struggles versus the grapplers. One of the tools that he used to beat her charged dropkick was doing turnaround punch because he had upper body invincibility. But now with that being removed until level 4, it's not an option that's always going to be available to him. So he's going to have to, deal with it the way other characters deal with it. So it's a pretty considerable nerf, not being able to be plus and not being able to avoid certain moves. I
like the direction of that as well, because now it's like you need to hit them with it rather than if you didn't hit them, you can try again. You got advantage on block, or it has so many other special properties that made it such a powerful tool. I mean, you want to see that kind of thing in the game, but when the defense is so restrictive and you have a move that's so powerful, I can see why they might want to nerf it. Did they go overboard? Time will tell. Maybe it's just at the right place. Maybe it's still good.
Yeah.
But we'll find out more on that. Let's see. If there was a Street Fighter that had every single playable character in the series history, oh boy, here we go. What would be your top 3 wishes for its system? That's gonna take me so long. It's like a homework assignment.
Yeah, that question is a little too crazy, man.
Yes, that's a bit much, bro.
You gotta dial it down a little with that question.
Thanks. Hey, man, if Chun-Li and then Bison, if they had a kid and then Dawson raised it, what is its fighting style gonna be? It's hard to. Yeah. I don't get to. Sorry, man. I don't got anything.
Yeah, I got nothing on that one. Too much, too strong that question.
If Galaxy Star Battle Galactica and the Death Star collided, I don't know, man. Why is Alpha 2 preferred over Alpha 3? I don't know too much about that. I honestly, I came in during like the Third Strike era, but I think it has. If my guess would be the crouch canceling of Alpha 3.
Yeah, that's one of the things that a lot of the original, like the A2 heads, don't like about Alpha 3. The fact that the V-ism is so strong in Alpha 3 that the game kind of became like a V-ism fest. Like it kind of made every other ism in the game like kind of useless or not viable in tournament. And it kind of like made all the characters function very similarly. And the fact that in Alpha 3 you start with full meter, it kind of like increases the chance of that happening, of getting hit by a full V-trigger combo. I mean, not V-trigger, V-ism combo into an infinite. So what crouch canceling was in Alpha 3,
If you do a Vism combo, you're juggling them, and then you can use your character's crouching animation to prevent them from flipping out. So what you saw was just one person jumping and juggling with usually a light attack, as far as I know, and that would end the round. It would be an infinite. It'd be an infinite. You jump at them, crouch, jump, hit the light kick, and when you land, crouch, jump, hit the light kick. And there are videos of like the Japanese tournaments. They just skip the whole process because it takes a long time to kill somebody this way. But it's an infinite, so it's like a guaranteed win. So it's just not an enjoyable thing about the game.
Yeah.
It's fun to do for a few days, but then it gets really annoying.
Yeah. It's a game because the game has a lot. That's the Street Fighter game that has the most mechanics compared to any other Street Fighter game. There's so many mechanics that to this day a lot of players don't even know exist. Like there's a way to soften damage while you're getting hit. There's a way to reduce guard damage by doing last frame guarding. There's just a ton of mechanics in that game that just are really cool and interesting. There's a guard meter in that game, like how there is in CVS2. But a lot of that stuff, even though it is a good game, the crouch cancel infinites kind of
they didn't get it quite right. They didn't get it quite right yet.
Yeah.
But speaking of, there's something I want to point out. It's not really related to what we're talking about. But speaking of the guard canceling, the guard crushing kind of thing properties, Cody in Alpha 3, when you have Vism, he has a sway. I forget the real name for it, but he has a instead of blocking, he dodges your attacks, and in some cases he can punish the recovery after he does that move. So it makes me think about how Cody might have some different things in Street Fighter 5. I mean, we know he has the dust off of the ground. So I think about Cody having a 3-frame normal, EX bingo, maybe even bingo causes the counter and pushback. He might potentially have a sway, and he might be able to throw dust on the ground off of normal and back recovery. So I mean, I think there's something different that's gonna happen with that character.
Yeah, and also the fact that will he have a knife still? If they're gonna keep that as part of his game, having a knife.
Yeah. Is he going to continue to fight dirty, throwing rocks at you? He looks like he cleaned up his act a little bit. Maybe he's going to have, like, paperweights. He's going to throw, like, tax deductions at you, or what's it called? Bills from Capitol Hill?
Yeah.
Okay, so, let's see. We got one of those, I'm a Karen main. Why do you think she's getting screwed in Season 3, Jibbo? That's that gut reaction, man. It's like that feeling of being, something being taken away from you, right? You just don't know enough. The character might not be working as intended right now, so it's like they're trying to revert back to where they want the game to play, and it might be better. It might be better.
Yeah, it's too early to call that right now. She got a couple of nerfs, but a lot of other characters got nerfs too, and she still might be in a good position. She's still able to do a lot of things that a lot of characters can't do. Like getting good damage from a max range crouching medium kick. A lot of characters simply can't do that. So the fact that she's still able to do that kind of still keeps her above a lot of other characters. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think she's still going to be a good character. Just have to wait and see how the rest of the game plays out.
And I would consider all the other characters are getting dialed back a little bit. It's like they're giving characters more options with their V-trigger, but dialing back the what they already have, but they're not getting rid of it either. Or at least in some cases, they're not getting rid of it. Like okay, for throw loops, they're getting rid of the loop itself, but they're not getting rid of the throw. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Right.
Are they putting AE arcades in Japan? I don't know anything about that. I think I've heard about it, but
yeah, they've kind of hinted at doing that, but they haven't made any official announcements. So it's all speculation at this point.
Demon Dan asks, do you think all the characters are going to be released at once? And it might be unfair for Bonchan to wait another year to use Sagat. Do you want to answer that?
I don't think they're going to all be released at once, but it wouldn't surprise me if they release all the characters by Evo.
Oh, so like when they initially made this game, they were going to make characters release once per month. That kind of was like, about that. Maybe they'll actually stick to it this time.
Yeah.
I think there is a greater than 0% chance that all the characters will be released at once, and then we'll see the other rumored characters like Oro. I see Viper among Saddam. So I mean, there's a percentage chance, but I don't think it's gonna happen that way. It's almost like at this point we're kind of reaching. It's like, okay, they did something nice, so I don't know if we're gonna continue to see more like blessings from Capcom.
Yeah,
But that would be
I wouldn't get my hopes up. I think we can make a better speculation on that if we see a trend starting to form. So in the sense, the game drops the 16th, right? If in February 16th we see a next character, and then March 16th we see the next character, then I think it's safe to assume that they might be on track to release, a character once per month. But at this stage, we only have, the information from what they did this year. So I think should just base it on that they're probably gonna do the every 2 months, release. But I know the reason why he's asking that. Let's say somebody like Bonchan who's been waiting for Sagat since the game came out. Does he really have to wait until October to use Sagat? It's gonna hurt his motivation to play this game throughout the whole year, and might affect his performance and his ability to get points in the CPT. So I understand why people desperately want all the characters to be released closer to each other, and at least in the first half of the year. But based on the information of how they've done it before, we really can't expect much. I think if they do that, great. If they don't, that's just the way it's been.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Now I'll go ask, do you think A will be better to watch now? I think so. I think so.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so.
It'll be interesting just to have the new system changes. It's not an overhaul, but it's gonna affect the way that people play this game, and I think you'll see more strategy involved with the decisions that are being made in front of you. Like as of right now, it feels really scripted the way you play characters and the general approaches. You really don't see a lot of new stuff, even with the new characters. Like it takes a while to develop it, but it's almost at the end of the day they have the same goal as every other character.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be interesting to watch. I mean, it's just getting stale. To be honest with you, Street Fighter V, it's hard for me to watch and be entertained. For me personally, but I want that to improve. I'm on that side of I want this game to be successful.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything else? Almost about to wrap it up. So Arlieth, some people in the chat were mentioning that Ibuki, I think it was Chris actually, Chris Wynn, after Ibuki dashes up, she's negative after it eeks kunai. So I think that's good. I think that's fine. You already get enough reward when it hits. So that's in the same. That's within the same realm of the ball rock crouching medium kick activate V trigger. For that to be negative, I think it's good because the reward if it hits is so high.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good smart nerf.
Any changes about Alex? I haven't really seen anything except for the troll changes. But, that list from LTG was translated by someone from Japan, and a lot of Japanese players are excited about it, but it's just an April Fool's kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that something like there's something to say about it getting blown up and there being excitement for it. KSK, he wrote on his Twitter about it. He was like, whoa, really? That kind of thing? So KSK is a legendary Alex Third Strike player. So to see that feeling be generated by somebody like they want to see Alex have that many powerful tools, there's something to be said about that. But I am concerned about Alex. I think if you buff him just a little bit, it's crazy. He's a crazy character if you buff him just a little bit.
Yeah, to speak on Alex, the little bit that I do know and have seen from his V-Trigger 2, I suspect that it's going to be the better V-Trigger. Because, so basically from he can cancel Flash Chop into the grab. It's like a neck breaker grab that he chokes you and then you fall down in front of him. So the fact that he has that is so good because he's a command grab character, so you're always going to be trying to get away from him. So if he can open you up, let's say with a low short, if he does low short, low jab, flash chop, and then the grab, and then he gets guaranteed Oki from that, that's really strong for a character like Alex to have.
Yeah, forward hard punch, man.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. You try to backdash away, he hits forward hard punch, lights out. He already activated V trigger. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I don't know how his DDT is gonna function because the V trigger 2 also gives him access to having the DDT move, but it doesn't grab crouchers. So, but I don't see why you would ever need to stand block if you see that move coming. I don't. he doesn't have
Yeah.
a powerful overhead option. So I don't know how you're supposed to set that move up. So I'm interested to see how V Trigger 2 plays out.
It's just gonna depend on the range. Yeah, it's gonna be weird to digest. So about Blanca, do you think he's gonna play like CVS2? Of course not. He's not gonna have roll canceling. He's not gonna have roll cancel electric. But I don't. Okay, this is what I think about Blanca in terms of what's gonna be dangerous about him. I think that EX Blanca Ball will be like shoulder tackle, EX shoulder tackle, even things that aren't close to shoulder tackle. EX Bullhead. Tokido got hit by it in the neutral at Capcom Cup.
Yeah.
So Blanca Ball is gonna have the same it's gonna have the same type of thing, where you're gonna have to be holding back just to block it. Already, you're not gonna be able to block it in reaction.
Right.
At least that's my prediction. So that's gonna be a problem. I would predict that the electricity from Blanca will have advantage on block, but not keep you in throw range. So I think he's gonna play more like Cross Tekken Blanca, which most people probably don't know about.
Yeah.
I think he'll be more closer to that kind of style.
Yeah.
I guess Street Fighter Blanca.
It'll speaking on Blanca, it'll also be interesting to see which of his moves they make not a charge move, because one of the trends that they had for all the classic SF2 charge characters is that they gave them at least one new option that isn't a charge move. Like Vega's rolls are not charge. Vega's not charge character at all anymore. But like Bison has the Psycho Flame, the Psycho Inferno. So they all have like non-charge options. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Blanca, like what new move they're gonna give him that's not a charge move.
Yep. I would think that they would keep all of them to be charge moves. Maybe the Rainbow Ball, but I'm not sure what you would use that for. Maybe positioning. It seems like he'll be a defensive style character for the most part. Nothing really new as far as how Blanca would play.
Yep.
I think they should give him something new. I think if anything, it'll be the crush counters and how they interact with his already his movesets. So like something like standing roundhouse to flip kick, probably gonna cause a juggle state, and you could probably combo the up ball, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We'll see. Time will tell.
Yep.
Are we expected to get a balance patch balance patches the notes soon? As it's almost a month before the AE release. I would like to think so. They did that with the Season 2, I think, when they made a lot of big changes. I would like to see a balance, like a patch notes kind of thing.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I don't... Maybe at the end of this month, I would say. I think it's a little too far out for them to release that just yet. So I think we have to wait, because the game is not coming out until another month and a week or so. So a little bit of time.
Yeah. We're almost done here. What about any birdie changes? Don't know.
Nope, no idea.
Do you think we'll get third V triggers in 2020? He said 220, but I think he means 2020. I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I think the game is at the limits as far as creativity. Maybe new supers, but even then, is that necessary? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Omega Blanca? I don't know. Bad players are able to play amazing spacing control with their bulldogging capabilities. Walk forward into block is super strong on controller. It's more like the players. The device is... there are some advantages to using pad rather than stick these days. There used to be advantages to using stick, but now it's more like I've been playing stick for years, so this is what I'm used to. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
Will we see broken arcade sticks over Blanca in locals? Nope. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Maybe in the comfort of your own homes, you might see some broken sticks. But new V skills, potentially. That might be interesting. If you have new V skills, you can combine them with a new V trigger. So if you have a 2-bar, V trigger, and you have a different V skill that's easier to combo, you can get your V trigger faster. So that might be a way of adjusting and buffing the V trigger mechanic. That's kind of a cool thing to speculate about. But I think that's it for questions.
Yeah.
It's good. We did I think it was a pretty good podcast. It's like been a while since we really did one, and I woke up pretty recently, so I'm still trying to get the motor skills going. So
yeah, and we had lots
to
to talk about today. So
a lot. I feel like we had lots to talk about before, but just gotta get back on the horse and get things going.
That's right.
So yeah, thanks for being here. You know, everybody appreciate what you do, Javits. Shoutouts to you. You can follow Javits at Twitter, Javits with the 1. You can follow me at AutoMattock. We got the youtube.com/Jibbo. Do you have any closing thoughts, my friend?
Yeah, I just want to say shout outs to you for always, you know, doing your thing with all the Zeku tech that you've been posting and your matchup breakdown. So guys, be sure to check those out. You know, AutoMattock, Jibbo's always doing good stuff with those. Be sure to support. And I'm looking forward to next year, man. I really like the way Capcom closed it out this year with Capcom Cup and the CPT. I think there's a lot to look forward to. I think, like I said earlier, you know, with 2017, I was kind of starting to lose faith in this company as, like, I feel like they were extremely out of touch. And in some regards, I still was skeptical, like, you know, little things like even the little details, like a little ugly donkey kick here and there, you know, but
it's like they tried.
Yeah.
It's like they gave it a shot.
But I gotta say, like, with the way they closed out Capcom Cup with the reveals and, you know, Street Fighter Anniversary Collection and, you know, it's more good than bad, I gotta say. So shout outs to them. It finally looks like they're making a concerted effort to fix some of the issues that they've had with Street Fighter V and just their overall brand with Street Fighter. So I'm really looking forward to next year.
Yep. Just once again, thank you everybody for supporting the stream, the YouTube. You know, I'm doing this full time now. I'm not going to school next semester. I'm focusing my efforts fully on fighting games, making content, teaching people how to play them, uploading YouTube videos, playing ranked Street Fighter V online, and desperately trying not to get salty about it. And I'll be doing some more things too. We got Dragon Ball Super coming up. Punch Planet, I want to do more research on it. Tekken 7 Geese, that character is like Tekken 7 is such a great game. I think it's one of the best fighting games that's available. One of the best modern fighting games. Like kind of like a mixture of modern and mainstream for Tekken 7. I think the Tekken World Tour Finals were fantastic. But yeah, just thank you guys for the support. It means a lot to me. Thank you. I appreciate it. YouTube.com/Jibbo, at AutoMattock, at Twitter, at Jesus Christ, at Javits on Twitter. Give him a follow. That's it. I hope you guys learned something. Peace.